What is going on, everybody? It's a Three Geeks conversation. Tonight, I'm joined by Erin and Johnny. How are you guys doing?
Good, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing well. Doing well. It's been nice here in Ohio for a change.
Oh, you're in Ohio? Okay.
Yeah, it hasn't been as cold as it's been lately.
Yeah, today was warmer. I'm in New Jersey, and yeah, today was warmer. It's still been really windy, but warmer. Johnny is lucky he's in LA, so it's probably sunshine central.
It's been like really rainy the last like 2 weeks, but
Oh, really?
yeah, we're strangely like a lot of rain, but it's bright and sunny today. So
Do you live in LA?
yeah, I'm originally from Massachusetts. I lived in New York City for a while, and I just moved out here like a year and a half ago. So
What's it like there now post the fires?
obviously, like basically, it was kind of two neighborhoods that were really heavily affected. And I don't really live near either of them. I kind of live like right in the center of Hollywood. So I haven't like actually seen a whole lot of the actual fires or the devastation from the fires, to be honest. It's like weird that the city doesn't really translate like that. And granted, there were a lot of people that were volunteering, and there was a lot of talk about trying to get back from it, but it was like kind of a more isolated. I don't want to say isolated, but like because I actually wasn't even here, but it's kind of like didn't even happen almost like in certain parts of the city.
Wow.
Okay, so I like to ask people, where are you guys from originally? You said Massachusetts. What made you like? Where are you from originally, and what led you to what you do now?
You want to go first there?
Okay,
funny.
so we're actually both from Massachusetts, which is funny, but we didn't know each other until after we both had not lived in Massachusetts for a while. So I'm from Massachusetts, and I moved to New Jersey right after I graduated college in 2012. My mom is from this area, so I have a lot of family here. And after college, I wanted to be somewhere warmer and like start somewhere fresh. I didn't want to move back in with my mom, so I moved in with my grandmom. and then I started teaching dance at my cousin's dance studio because I went to college for dance, and my cousin opened a dance studio the year I graduated. So I've been working there ever since. So yeah.
Nice. What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, so I grew up in Massachusetts, and I went to film school. And when I graduated, I moved back to Boston for a little while, and then I was sort of back and forth between Boston and New York for quite some time, and then I just moved to LA in 2023. So,
did you always want to be a singer?
Yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, my aunt taught me to play piano. And so music was kind of always in my life. I was like maybe 5 years old when I first started playing piano. And then I was in the school band. I played saxophone. And I learned to play guitar. And that's kind of like what led me to just wanting to like create my own music down the road.
What kind of music do you listen to? Because we heard you sing live, there's definitely some hip hop and R&B influence. So like, what is it that you listen to in your spare time?
I definitely lean that way. I lean toward like the pop R&B. I also kind of moved a little more into the dance space over the last couple of years. So like EDM, housey, pop house type vibes. But I listen to everything. I listen to country. I listen to like indie rock. I love music, and I love how different sounds can sort of be blended, and now it's like it's so accessible for anyone to be a musician. So I think that's why.
And then you, Erin, how did you end up being a podcaster and running charities? Because you do these shows regularly.
Yeah, well, the one in May is the last one. But so I started fundraising for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in 2015. And I would do like smaller fundraisers. And then in 2019, I was kind of motivated to raise more money than I had, and I wanted to do something a little bit bigger. So I reached out to Johnny, and I have a mutual friend, Tyler, and I reached out to him and I was like, what do you think about like doing a benefit concert? Like, you have a friend that's a musician. The friend was Johnny. And so we kind of like came up with the idea. We planned the whole thing, and then the concert was supposed to be in September of 2020, and then COVID ruined that. So we had to keep pushing it back. And so the final lineup, which is this poster right here, the lineup ended up being a little bit different than it was originally, but it was still a really great show. And so after that show, I decided to do one in Boston near my hometown, and Johnny was there. We had Grace, Jared, Alex, and Drew. And that was going to be my last one. And then Autumn reached out to me about January, and she was like, we're doing this convention. Do you want to do a concert like through Hold On Till Dawn? So I did that. And then the show was so much fun with the 4 guys. Like, I really liked that lineup that I wanted to bring them home to me in Philly so that my friends and family could all be there, because none of them could come because it was in Orlando. And in between the Boston and the Orlando show, I came up with the idea for a podcast because I thought it would be a little bit easier to navigate and manage as opposed to a benefit concert, because putting the concerts together is so much work, and there's a lot that goes into it, and a lot of it is out of my control. Like, I can't control how many tickets we sell. Like, I can do what I can with promotion, but it's hard to sell tickets. That's the hardest part about it. So with the podcast, it's like, if nobody's listening, it's okay. I'm not losing out on anything. So that's why I slid into the podcast world. So yeah.
Decade Days 2. I mean, that's coming up in November. Are you sure you're done?
Well, I reached out to her and I was like, do you need help like with another concert? And she was like, no, I think I'm going to do it. So I'm pretty sure that she's going to put the concert together in November if there is one. So yeah.
Tell us about the podcast, because I was listening to the latest episode today a little bit, and I like it. You got a really good interview style.
Thank you. I have only been doing it since last April. I started with like solo episodes, and then I was lucky enough to interview everyone I've had at my concerts. And then I've kind of branched out, and I've recently talked to a health coach, which was really nice to talk about like how your physical health and your mental health coincide. And I just got to talk to the SPTS, which is the Society for Prevention of Teen Suicide, and then their corresponding organization, Lead You. And I'm actually going to a Lead You assembly tomorrow at a school. I'm so excited about that. That's really cool. So it's kind of branched out so many connections for me, the podcast, in the mental health world, because I kind of was staying in my American Foundation for Suicide Prevention lane. And recently I've been like branching out into other organizations and people that are helping the mental health of America. So yeah.
That's a good topic, because it's something a lot of people still have a stigma on. And it's
right.
nice that you're out there talking about it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So Johnny, I got to ask you, because you mentioned your film background, and I did some IMDb stuff, and I'm always fascinated on the jobs in Hollywood that you don't hear a lot about. What is a location manager?
So a location manager is somebody who basically handles all of the logistics and scouting and creative behind the locations, the actual filming locations of the movie. Now, it's an interestingly diverse job where, you know, a director and a production designer comes to a location manager and says, this is the idea that I have for the scene. And then the location manager goes to 3 or 4 scouts and says, I need you to go and find 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20 different variations of this location, clear them. We're going to go look at them with the director. And then eventually the director and the production designer basically, you know, decide on which one we would film at. And then from there, we basically go and talk to the town or the city, depending on where we are, speak to the neighbors, let everybody know what's going on. And then it's like we rent out parking lots for all the trucks to park in and for the crew cars to park in, and then find some church basement where we feed all the crew with the caterer and bathrooms and trash and all kinds of really crazy logistics that involve, like, we always say, like, you know, locations is like we throw the party and like we clean up after the party, but we just don't really get to party, you know. So, but it's I've got to see a lot of really interesting places and I've gotten to meet a lot of really cool people inside and outside of the film world. Like the people that we end up meeting that are the site reps for some location that we're filming at oftentimes end up being like one of the craziest people I've ever met in my entire life, like in a really good way, like, and then funny. And everyone's like, what is this movie doing coming to my town, you know? And you show up and you kind of like either ruin somebody's week or you make somebody's week, and then you're gone and they like completely forget about you. So it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. You're kind of crucial to the whole film process.
So interestingly enough, like I kind of went from, you know, like location management and scouting, and I started producing over the last few years, and that's the progression is like normally that. And it's just a really weird time in the business. So I kind of found somebody that a few different jobs that I've gotten into and have started moving into that lane and kind of want to make some of my own projects now. So I'm developing a few things, and that's kind of like my trajectory, I think, for where I want to go next with that.
Nice. Is that what you always wanted to do? Or is it more the music avenue that you wanted?
I think they've always kind of like coincided with each other, like, and especially over the last few years, like I've gotten a few placements like in TV shows and different like you know, pieces of content. So that's always been like a big goal of mine. But at the same time, like I just always felt like one success would always kind of like fuel the other. So you know, when I started out, I wanted to be a director, I think, and then it kind of changed over time as I realized like what I really enjoyed more. And I like feel like producing is kind of a little bit more like the quarterback, you know, like you see like the entire field and you're kind of like fixing all the problems while, you know, the director's off kind of, you know, maybe more of like the running back or the wide receiver if we're going in the football terminology, you know.
Nice. Erin, so what was it like when you recorded your first podcast? Because I've had that experience as well. So what was it like for you?
It was so weird. So I brainstormed a lot before I did it, and I took long walks and like came up with all my talking points. So then like I sat down in front of the camera and started talking, and so the first one I did was kind of like an intro. So it was really only like 2 minutes long. It was just like, this is what the podcast is going to be like. And then I did a whole episode about like why suicide prevention is important to me. And I barely edited the video. Like, I don't think I actually edited it at all. I didn't cut out anything. I kind of just uploaded it as is, and it's my most popular video right now. It has over 1,000 views on YouTube, which blows my mind because I only have 23 followers on YouTube. So I don't know who's watching it, but thank you. So yeah, it got easier over time talking to myself in the camera. I have like a theater and dance background, so I'm used to performing, which I guess this is kind of like performing, even if you're by yourself. So yeah, it's gotten like easier over time, but yeah, it's been a progression for sure.
Yeah, when we first started, we didn't want to edit at all. That was our goal, no editing. But I was very much so an introvert back then. Mm-hmm. So we if we would mess up, we'd literally start the whole show over again and record it.
Wow.
So there's like 12 of our first episodes. And then eventually, I think 10 episodes in, we're like, you know, we're just going to do this live on the internet because our show is typically live. and
wow.
then we don't have to worry about editing. So we do very minimal editing unless our guest says something that they message us later and goes, maybe I shouldn't have said that, because sometimes you're on the internet, you're talking to people, you forget that there's other people out there listening. That's why all of our interviews are pre-recorded now, to give that guest that option. But it's nerve-wracking to put it out there to the world. Like, here it is. This is us talking. Do you like it or not?
Yeah, it is.
Gotta have thick skin for sure. I feed off the negative comments. I get a kick out of them. I laugh a lot. Justin, who does a show with us, who is also in Orlando, he doesn't like the negative comments so much. They get to him a little bit in a different way. But it's a fascinating experience.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any negative comments so far.
I
got one dislike on one of my videos. It was the one about navigating the holidays, and I was like, what could they possibly have disliked? I gave a lot of helpful advice for grieving during the holidays, but okay, somebody disliked it. So, but besides that, yeah.
At least comment. Like, we'll get comments occasionally like, this sucks. It's like, give us some feedback. Like, thumbs down or this sucks. Give us something that we can chew on and maybe fix.
Yeah,
that sucks. Especially like your content. I don't know who's thumbing that down.
Could be an ex.
That's fair, yeah. Or they're like really into the holidays,
Yeah.
So how did you two meet?
We met through Tyler, who I went to college with Tyler, and Tyler was friends with, is it Robbie that connected you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
one of my good friends from high school went to college, and I think roomed with Tyler for a little while.
Yeah. So Tyler and I went to college together. He was friends with Robbie. Robbie was friends with Johnny. So then Tyler and Johnny met and became really good friends. And then when I reached out to Tyler about doing the first benefit concert, I was like, I know you have a music friend in New York. Like, can he do the show? So then Johnny and I did a couple Instagram and Facebook lives before the first concert, and that's like the first times we like ever talked to each other. I don't think we talked like on the phone or anything before that, so that was fun. And I think I was definitely intimidated by him at first, but then I met him, and he's like the nicest guy ever, and now we're friends. So yeah, and he's done all my concerts.
Meeting people can be very intimidating. It's not so much anymore, but like when you're first starting out, it can be a lot. But Johnny, same experience, man. Putting your first song out, what is that like for you?
When I first started doing it, I just kind of started like, I wanted to do it. I didn't really care what anybody thought, and not that I didn't care, but I just felt like I had something to say, and I like kind of figured there'd be some sort of audience for it. And over time, it's been like, the realest things that I wrote, people would be like, I can't believe you're like brave enough to say that. And that's just like where it all started to like make me feel like, the best part about music, it's not necessarily that, you sell 1 million records or you're, have 1 million fans or whatever it is, your metric, your vanity metrics aren't really what's necessarily important as you're going on your journey. I think what's really important to me is that like what I'm saying or putting out there is impacting somebody in some kind of way. Cause like at the end of the day, I'm just an artist. Like that's what I did it all for to begin with. I said something that meant something to me, and I hope that someone else can take something away from that,
Mm-hmm. I can relate to that. We had a fan reach out to us that told us that our podcast helped keep them, in the light. So I get that. Like even the smallest audience in the world, just that one person that you've made a difference to, really feels really good to hear those kind of stories and stuff. Do you read the comments?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that because I run a lot of like Instagram ads too, just because like it's a great way for like organic reach. Mm-hmm. And most of the time the like terrible comments are on the ads, and it's always just like people who I like look at people who write those comments, and I go to their page and I'm like, you don't even have a creative bone in your body. Like I don't understand like who died and made you the king of like how to like criticize somebody's work. And I kind of relate to what you said earlier. It's like if they don't have anything constructive to say, like I don't really understand what business they have, you know, saying something about it at all. So I don't know. The problem is that like now, and the number's probably much higher now, but like as of like 3 years ago, 100,000 songs were coming out every single day. So yeah. Now, you know, like 0.1% of those songs might be good, but you know, like that's the metric. So it's like, you know, if everybody can do it, then you're going up against people that people have so many options that they're like, they want to hate on you because you're trying to do something that like they don't understand, I guess. And at the same time, it's like music is so like subjective, you know, like there's some music I don't like just because I don't like the genre, or I just it's not my style, but it doesn't mean that other people can't like it, you know? So
yeah, no, I get that for sure. Like there's plenty of artists. Like I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan personally, but I can understand why people like her. Like I'd be in the room and listen to it and be like, yes, there's definitely something here. Like I get what you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had to Google to see how many podcasts come out in a day after you mentioned and there's 30,000 a day released.
Yeah. Wow. 30,000.
We're one of those. At least once a week, twice a week.
But
mine
you know,
is actually every other week.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I couldn't do weekly. That's too much for me. I have 4 jobs, so I couldn't.
You know, at the end of the day, like it's just about continuing to do it because it makes you feel something, you know, and also like, you know, you have a better chance of continuing to do it, and the podcast or the music or the movie or whatever it is you're doing ends up getting, I don't even know how to describe it because I don't want to be like, oh, it blows up, but it's like ends up fulfilling you in the way that you were always hoped it would, and then you do if you just gave up and didn't do anything to begin with, you know.
Yeah, podcasting is my therapy. That's how I like cope through the week. I do 2 or 3 a week now, I think, but like I said, it's more me hanging out with my friends. That's how I look at it. And then if we reach that 1 or 2 people, I'm super happy about it.
Yeah.
But you guys are on the 3 Geeks podcast. I have to know what your fandoms are.
Fandoms. So I'm a big One Tree Hill fan. I've been to, I think, 8 or 9 conventions. Yeah.
Is that how you met Autumn? Was through the
convention? Her convention was the first One Tree Hill convention I went to. I think it was their 4th one, their 3rd or 4th one. So it was 2017, I believe. Yeah. So that's my biggest fandom I'm a part of.
And recently Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, I just started watching Gilmore Girls before the convention was even announced, which is funny. I started watching it in October, I think, and I only have 1 episode left, but then I have to do the reboot. But yeah, I'm on the last episode, so I'm excited.
Reboot's only 4 episodes, but I think they're each like 2 hours long or something.
Yeah, so I have to get through that before the convention. So I've got like 3.5 weeks.
Nice. I am 9 episodes into Gilmore Girls. I hadn't seen it prior to the convention, but it's not bad. My problem, the only reason I'm on episode 9 is because so much TV comes out every week and we talk about it. So I like to stay current. So trying to keep up with everything and watch that has been difficult, but it's a good show. The writing is super smart.
Yeah. Wait till you get to season 7, though. There's a different writer, and he's not my favorite.
I've heard that. What about you, Johnny? What are your big fandoms?
You know, I'm not. It's funny. I was trying to think about that too. Like, I'm not like a necessarily like a big movie buff. I watch a lot of different things. I watch a lot of different movies. I watch a lot of different TV shows. I would say like right now I'm watching Severance, which, you know, like Apple TV show. And I love Black Mirror. So like it was like kind of like a seamless, like this feels like the Apple TV's Black Mirror. Stuff like that, like sci-fi, but not necessarily fantasy, I guess, is really cool to me. I love comedy. I think it's like, there's not enough comedies right now.
What's your favorite comedy?
Oh, probably like Superbad, or, you know, like something in the Judd Apatow like realm. But I watch anything. I watch Adam Sandler movies. Like I think he's, you know, he's bounced back pretty hard too. Like he's you know, he's funny too. I don't know. It's interesting. I like sports. I guess that's not really a fandom thing necessarily, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything you get excited about is something you can geek out over.
I grew up playing sports, and like I made like a decision like later in high school. Just I'm not gonna like go and pursue sports after high school. I'm not tall, and I'm like an average athlete, you know. So I decided like whatever. I'm still gonna watch it because I love watching sports, and I just like appreciate the athleticism and, you know, the entertainment of it all. So I guess that's probably my biggest of the fandoms, if there's any of them.
Do you guys have a favorite sports movie, both of you? Mine is Mighty Ducks.
Okay.
I can't get enough of it. But I like them all. I'm not a huge sports fan, but sports movies, I'm in.
Okay. The Friday Night Lights movie was one of my favorite sports movies.
That is a really good movie. I've heard the show is really good too. I have not watched it yet.
I didn't really get into it either, but it clearly has a big fan base.
I'm trying to think. I'm not a huge sports movie fan, so
Air Bud.
I've only seen the soccer Air Bud, but I've seen that a lot. So sure, we'll
There's
say
a soccer Air Bud. I only know the basketball one.
Yeah,
She's the Man.
Oh, that's a good one. But I've only seen it a couple times. The thing that sticks out in my head is the Disney Channel movies about girl sports. So like Double Teamed, the one where they're twins on the basketball team. I think I've seen that a couple times. The Luck of the Irish, he's playing.
Oh yeah. Great movie. Oh my god.
I wish I watched it yesterday. I don't know why I didn't.
What's the other one? Motocross?
Oh yeah.
That one?
Love that one. Which that guy was just at the Autumn's convention, the love interest in that movie. So that was cool. I didn't really meet him. I kind of did, but not like officially. But and Johnny Tsunami. Wait, I've never seen Johnny Tsunami, but I met him and he's really nice. So I need to watch Johnny Tsunami.
Oh, that movie's incredible.
I've heard, yeah. So I need to watch that.
I got another question. Favorite albums?
It's a tough one.
I listen to mostly hip hop, but my favorite album of all time is Sgt. Pepper.
Okay.
Oh my god, it's so good.
That's like an underrated Beatles album, right?
I think so. I think it's pretty rated now. Like I think it's pretty fairly rated.
Yeah.
But it's so masterful, especially the last track. I can't think of what it's called, where Paul McCartney comes in the middle to a completely different beat and a completely different like rhythm. It's so good.
Yeah.
Some Mad Hope by Matt Nathanson is one of my favorite albums of all time. I can listen to that whole album from track 1 to the last track. So, yeah.
No skips.
No skips. I mean, there are 2 songs on that are like very dark and heartbreaky. So usually I'll skip them because they change your mood to like a sad, depressed one. But they're great songs. It's just like depressing. But yeah.
Yeah. A friend of mine asked me this the other day, actually. A sneaky one I would say is like Frank Ocean Blonde. That's just like a great. It came out like in like a pivotal year in my life. I feel like it was like a good summer. I don't know.
I'm gonna add that to my list. I think I've only heard one of his songs.
Oh,
Frank Ocean.
he's definitely like a different artist, but like very, I don't know, like very inspiring in a lot of ways.
I've wrote both of yours down. You can listen to him too. That's why I asked.
Okay. Yeah.
He's the one that sings Slide, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the only song I know from him. Okay, so I put that on my list.
So what's next for you guys? What's coming up soon?
Big show in May. Big show in May. May 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've only been there once in my life. I'm very excited. We're running it back. It's full circle. Bringing MKTO back. Bringing Drew Seeley back.
Yeah.
I'm just there to open up, make sure the boys are happy, make sure the crowd is ready to go, you know? And
no, you're just as important as they are. You're not the opener in my eyes.
You're just as good as they are, like for real.
Yeah.
I had an incredible time. Every show has been great in so many ways, but this past one was so much fun, and the crowd was great, and everyone was just like, it was fun. It was you really planned it out well, I would say. Not that the others weren't planned well, but this past one, like, you nailed it. So
thank you.
Of course.
And
thanks for bringing me on the ride, you know?
Who's on your next podcast?
Actually, Drew. I'm doing an episode with Drew. We're recording this weekend, so that'll come out in 2 weeks from today. And we're going to talk about the Orlando show and talk about the Philly one. And I need to ask him more questions about High School Musical and stuff, because I was too nervous last time to ask him any of that. But now, like, we've interacted enough that I feel comfortable with asking him more questions.
Nice. Where can everybody find you guys online?
I'm just at Listen to Johnny, like on pretty much all the platforms. And I'm just Johnny on Spotify and Apple Music. It's really hard to find me, so if you just go to my Instagram, you can find everything there in my bio.
And my handle is Hold On Till Dawn on Instagram and TikTok and X. I still have an X, Twitter. And Hold On Till Dawn Benefit Concert is the Facebook handle.
Awesome. Everybody, I will put all of that stuff in the description. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow us at 3 Geeks Podcast, 3geekspodcast.com. Have a great night.